let's call this meeting to order if we could, please. Thank you. Our first order of business this morning would be the minutes.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion been made to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Lear. All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Let me back up just a little bit, and for the matter of record, Magistrate Hahn is not present today. Bills and transfers. No to you guys. See anything that was out of the ordinary, or be glad to try to answer any questions? Rhonda's out today.
No additional bills listed today.
No additional bills listed today.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
On transfers, if I don't think,
Any transfers.
just in case, yeah, there are a couple.
Yeah, there are a couple.
Second by Bernard Ice. Further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? The motion will carry. Next would be the tax rate ordinance, second reading and adoption of a tax rates. You guys have a copy of the ordinance presented to you at our last meeting. Entertain a motion today to approve on second reading and adoption of that ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made by Sam Hutchins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Lear. Further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? The motion will carry. Tax moratorium request. Get over here. This was a request from Joe Ballard on, it would be East Stephen Foster, right?
Yes.
Request to approve. Entertain a motion.
Make the motion.
Motion by Bernard Ice. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jeff Lear. Further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? The motion will be approved. I'll give you that in a minute. Just for, I'll try to explain what that is. That tax moratorium request is a request where state law allows communities to give a tax moratorium on the assessment, the current assessment of a piece of property if somebody's renovating a 25-year-old or older piece of property, a building or a house. And what that allows that to do is, look at y'all's hearing aids.
Oh, excuse me.
Or me one. What that allows you to do is, if you pay $100,000 for a piece of property and you're going to fix it up and put 100 in it, that allows your tax assessment to stay the same for 5 years. And that's an incentive, a nice little incentive for people to rehab, and it's working real well. And we've got probably 15 or 20 already, maybe 30 of them in the community. The city does the same principle involved. So they are still paying their taxes, they're just paying it on the original amount that Barbara with the PVA has to sign off on it. So it's a good program.
Has the city already approved this?
I don't know if the city has or not, I'm sure it does.
Does the city has to though, right?
If he's applied
Yes.
for the city tax credits, or
Yes.
city's assessment. Only a fool would not do that probably. And him being a fine young attorney, I'm sure he's figured that out.
Yeah.
I was just wondering from my own personal. I didn't know.
Next would be road department report. First is a resurface agreement. You guys have a copy of a resolution.
Yes.
Give me a copy of resolution. Whereas we have submitted for some extra funds from the state of Kentucky, the Transportation Cabinet, $144,165 for the resurfacing of Sullivan Lane. Entertain a motion to approve this resolution, authorize the judge to sign all documents related to that.
I'll make that motion, but the resolution that we have is something different, I believe.
Okay, that's coming up in a minute.
Okay.
That's the next one.
All right.
This is a one-page resolution
Okay.
I sent to you in the
I'll
mail.
order this
You
one.
got that out of your...
I'll definitely make that motion.
Okay, I was going to say it's your district. A motion been made by Jeff Lear, second by Sam. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? The motion will carry. You did get that one-page resolution?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
We're a little off track in our Kelly being
I'll
gone.
need double dosing.
The other, next one is, I just got that this morning. That's the one you were looking at, flex funds. Yeah, that came in at 723 this morning.
So we can add more roads to it?
No, the roads are identified. The roads are identified, and those roads are listed on the, let me see if I've got.
Should be
Wonderful.
Hilton,
Hutchins Lane
and
and
Nazareth.
Nazareth Road, yeah.
Been waiting on that one for a while.
Entertain a motion to approve the resolution that you have a copy of and authorize the judge to sign all documents related.
I'll so make that motion.
Motion been made by Keith Metcalf. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Bernard Ice. Discussion, Jeff, you had a
No.
question on your mind? All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Yeah, that was hot off the press this morning.
He might eventually get a copy of that.
Yeah.
So guys, what that'll eventually do for Keith and Sam, you know, this flex fund's only covered half of Hilton. So you've already approved your other half, the same way with you, Keith, for Hutchins. This takes care of the majority. But now I'll go and release that PO to Mago, because I've been waiting on this money.
Right.
So.
What do you think of you,
Oh, man.
Mago?
Where they at? Here. I'd say it's gonna be hard to get into this year, but I could be wrong. I think they're out of county paving right now. We can't even get asphalt here locally. They've shut the plant down the last couple of days, so I don't know. I will issue the PO.
Yeah, I don't mean to be putting pressure on you. I'm just thinking, you know, we're getting into the wet weather. You know, if it's very wet, I won't pull mine anyway. I'll put it on a damp road, you know.
But this what we'll talk about, because once they issue the PO, it's on the books and how it goes.
He coordinates with you pretty good, though.
Very well.
Yeah, I'd still like to have an input on it, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Cause
You
if it's gonna be cold for all week and they're talking 60% chance of rain, I probably don't want to do it.
Well, Pete, you got 60 days of good blacktop.
Maybe.
Just don't get
I'm okay.
Don't get excited.
excited. There you go. I'll get to that.
Just glad you got the money.
Don't want it bad, yeah, I'm tickled up.
Brad, rest of your report.
Okay, so Woodlawn Road, Dean had that on there. The contractors indicated September 10th is the day we're gonna shut that road down and they'll begin. Once they put a shovel on the ground and we close that road, they get 21 days to get it opened back up. So hopefully, we'll see how that project goes, but news media, I'll send you, like we always do on the road closure, a memo stating that. We worked on Hagen Lane, installed some gabion baskets where the creek tends to eat into the road.
The Bloomfield Chaplain area.
Correct. Went down to Petersburg, installed a culvert
Larry Shanks.
for Larry Shank's property. We also worked at you guys heard us talk about the Boston Fire Department culvert failure / issue. We fixed that last week to a certain point till the grade all pump went out of it. We've got it back open for the fire department to get in and out. Hopefully the pump, it was a hydraulic pump, what it was, went down, so no big deal. Just hard to get parts when it's around the holiday. It should show up today, we'll get it fixed today and finish up down there. Asphalt patches on Batzel, McIntyre Lane, Mill Creek. They did one spot in Patton Road, but I think there's another spot still left.
We did Sullivan Lane too, the
Yeah.
past Sullivan Lane.
Treetop Lane, Jeff, we went back and finished that out. It looks really good. We had started on Dean Watts Park where we had an issue where something got tore up, and we was gonna try to finish that today, but they're not making asphalt today, so we went to do chip seal on Timber Creek Loop. We've got one tractor downward, I'll go back, bush hogging, we're in round 4 in District 3. We've got one tractor down, it's a clutch. I know they tend to burn clutches up. We're trying to figure out what's going on with that. That tractor, when the PTO, when you engage and disengage it, it's something goofy on what's going on there. We're trying to figure out what's happening.
Is that the same tractor the clutch went out on about a year ago?
We've actually replaced the other clutch in the other tractor earlier this year. Steve claims something with the PTO when it's engaging and disengaging, it's how it's set up. And
Too many RPMs or something there.
Probably, but
Maxing out.
and the only other thing I could really report to you guys is Lee has finally completed his Roadmaster program. I think you know him from the program going through that, but Lee finished that up this past week. And he's also certified as a work zone traffic control supervisor, so he can train our guys.
Train our guys.
Instead of us having to send them out. So it was good that he went through all that. And that's it on the road department.
Just a point of note, I was coming back from Elizabethtown Sunday, the old road 62. The state is chip sealing US 62. Anybody know what I mean by chip seal? That's something that was used back in the 50s and 60s, pretty regular. I don't know if they're doing it just to, I drove almost 5 miles and the whole one side had already been chipped. And that's very unusual to see a state highway chipped like that, so.
Oh, it's the first time they've done that in
and
years.
You see that
That
on
was
the
the
state
picture
highway.
I sent you last year from Indiana, remember?
Yeah. So more and more.
62.
US 62 coming back from,
I can't imagine that.
About halfway over. I
They
know-
got all kinds of signs, loose gravel ahead, loose gravel, loose gravel.
I thought they were gonna pave it, I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
and they may be going to later, I don't know. It doesn't look, I mean, but you know what, when all the loose chip gets out of the way, you can't tell the difference.
No, you can't really.
Yeah, but you're gonna have windshields broke, you're gonna have sliding issues.
That's I can only visualize or guess why they're doing it, is the lack of money. And that's a result of the gas tax being reduced by 6 cents in the General Assembly about 4 years ago. That's a prime result of not having enough money to maintain your roads.
I'd say that's what it is, because 2 years ago, they paid for it, they started D-Town almost about halfway. But they about the rest.
25 years, I've never seen a state highway like
I'm not
that.
either.
And that's going backwards. It's a good fix.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great fix, but it is going backwards.
A lot of phone rings over there.
Landfill solid waste report, John.
Just a quick reminder that garbage pickup this week's a day behind. So if it's normal pickup today, be picked up tomorrow. If it's picked up Friday, be picked up Saturday. But other than that, just normal operations.
And we're, just for magistrate's note, public's note, anybody looking for jobs, even though we're getting back in good shape, we'll take applications for people that are looking for a job, entry-level pay at $40,000 a year to work on the garbage trucks and drive a truck. So we're having a little more difficult time we have in the past because our retirement plan is not near what it used to be. That's one item that we're dealing with. And so we're competing against a lot of other people in the private sector that have a similar 401k type of plan like we currently have. Jail report, Dorcas?
Okay, today we have a total of 149 inmates. We have 2 on home incarceration. We have 42 state inmates. We have 1 that's serving weekend. We have 4 that's out to other counties in court. So we have an in-house total of 142. We were fortunate enough last week to be able to get 10 state beds for females. So we transferred 10 females last week out, and we're still looking for empty beds.
You're down to 142, so that's, if we get down to about 122, we'll be manageable. Joe is not here for the EMS report. Under old new business, John, would you give us an update, please, on the courthouse roof and the tuck point in the windows?
So for the tuck point project, we have about 2 to 3 weeks left to do in the front face of the bell tower. So once they get that done, then Bill Brown with the window will come in and replace all the windows up top and in the bell tower. The roof replacement, they got the roof off in the back, if you see going around the courthouse. The stamp machine that did those broke down. It's back up and running. Should get those metal tiles towards the end of this week, start probably Thursday and Friday, to start putting the metal roof on the back portion. Then once they get that, then they'll jump to the front.
And what John was talking about, for those who are here today, this roofing, they're basically a metal square, almost square, not hardly square, and they overlap with each other, but they're in about this size. And each of those have a stamp to kind of give some decorative look, basically what it was done, we were putting on, to match what was there. And the companies that makes that's in Texas, I believe. They told me, but I can't remember. I think it was Texas. Their die machine or whatever broke that made that particular stamp, so they had to go back and remake the die. So it's an interesting story, but it's just a part of life, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it'll get there.
But everything's come together pretty good. We were about 4 weeks behind, 3 weeks behind because of the delay in the wet season we've had in the summer months.
Well, we had some
But the trade-off is a pretty good crop year, I hope, for the farmers. And not Mr. Bishop said
$3 corn, $7 soybean.
well, I can't help that. Next, let's see, I guess, Brad, you've been on this project, the Justice Center, the chiller project, they got started?
Well, when I say they started, they brought equipment in last week. Those should start this week with the digging and whatnot. They're gonna try to get everything installed as far as the piping and plumbed, and then we're just waiting on for this cooling tower to come in. He said once everything's ready, you're probably talking about a 60-day project, roughly. So we're getting there.
Is the cooling tower going back where the other one was?
Never had cooling.
Never had cooling.
Never had cooling.
This is-
They've had the geothermal. And again, I like to explain when people are here for the first time, especially since we have a lot of guests here today. The Justice Center was built and opened in 2003. And in 2003, the state recommended through their engineers that we use a geothermal system. And that geothermal system is a multitude of wells out in the parking lot. And those wells haven't performed. The older they've gotten, either wasn't enough of them or they needed a supplement. So the state determined by putting in a chiller, they're going to continue to use the wells, but the chiller will supplement the wells and chill the building better. And it's these units are running constantly. There's about 64 air handlers in that building. Just like your home's got an air handler or two, well, it's got 64 in that one building. And those air handlers are overworking because they're just not able to keep the building. And those are things are wearing out like popping popcorn. So we're trying to improve the system. Of course, the state maintains, we facilitate, the state actually has a lease with us, and they pay all the bills related to that Justice Center. So the local tax dollars are not paying anything on that project. State tax dollars are. Okay? Under old new business, you guys have anything else to bring? Matthew, anything to bring up? Anybody in the audience have anything you want to bring up today?
Yes. We want to bring up the issue of the Thompson Street Rehab Center.
Okay.
We feel that there are some inadequacies with the infrastructure and that there's no sewer line going to that operation. They're proposing a 100-bed facility, and we are opposed to this facility because there's no infrastructure to it, and we'd like to propose an ordinance that you amend the planning and zoning ordinance for anything in A1 for a rehab facility. It would have to be on a sewer system and not septic, because a 100-bed facility with overnights, this septic is not going to be, it's not going to be adequate. And we'd like to, there's several of us here that are wanting to voice our opposition to this facility because of the lack of infrastructure. And if there's anybody here that wants to go ahead and voice their opinion, you want to go ahead and...
Well, Don, I think it's good. I'm going to speak for myself, and I think the court would probably agree with it. I agree with your the theory that the septic system's inadequate. Probably even the water system has a lot of inadequacies. And those things, I believe there's a public hearing set up for those September the 20th to be presented to the Board of Adjustments. And I would think that Board of Adjustments would address, they better be addressing those issues.
Well, here's our issue with that. There's a potential that the Board of Adjustments may not address it, and then it just goes through. So we want you, as the fiscal court, to take a look at adopting this into the language of the current ordinance. That way it takes it out of the hands of the Board of Adjustments, because right now they could do the wrong thing, and we want you to preclude that by you guys doing the right thing. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yes, please.
A concern that I might have on that, though, is my understanding of the rules, I haven't seen the text amendment yet, but my understanding is the text amendment has to, if it even originates in planning or it originates in fiscal court, has to go back to the planning commission for consideration of public hearing.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
And if there's already a hearing set, I think if you start changing the rules that apply to that application while the application is pending, you're going to run into some problems. Specifically, kind of like an ex post facto analysis that
Right.
you can't change the rules of the game.
Right. But we're looking at trying to address the issue now, depending on what the Board of Adjustments does, whether or not they can delay it. Because when you have serious issues like this septic system and not being on a sewer system, that is a serious issue. And if you guys are already taking up that issue, why would the Board of Adjustments proceed on something that we could go ahead and stop, dead in its tracks anyway? That's the argument.
There's inadequate fire protection in that location.
I agree with everything that's been brought out in your all's private meetings that you had at Cox Spring School.
Sheriff's out there when there's incidents. Those are issues that,
Medical.
I can't agree with you more.
and the fact that, they're bringing people in with drug habits, but these people will not come in with just a drug problem. They're going to have to treat many other issues of that drug addict because of the decline in their health while they've been using and the risky behavior, which would make it beneficial to be near a hospital. You could be looking at HIV,
I read
hepatitis.
most of the language, and Jimmy did a good job reporting the public hearing that you guys had. A couple of different hearings, actually. And everything that you've said needs to be said at this Board of Adjustments meeting, number one. Number two is that the fiscal court, the planning commission has to go through a hearing process. Jen, those hearing processes usually take how long? To change any regulation.
To change the regulations, you gotta have a public hearing in front of the planning commission. And then it goes, if they make a recommendation for approval, then it goes to the legislative bodies for 2 readings of an ordinance and a publication.
And we're going to ask Matthew to continue to maybe research case law on, because we've denied a similar project in years past. And by denying a project, we basically impeded on the rights of people with disabilities. Dan, correct me if I'm
Correct,
wrong.
we have to be very careful of the state and federal laws.
We've done it before.
Well, it's under strict scrutiny, that's clear, but when there's a compelling government interest to pass that, with the government interest being infrastructure and public safety, because if you have a septic system that obviously will not do as well as a sewer system, then you have a health hazard. And so the ADA and the Rehab Act, that supersedes that, because your strict scrutiny is the compelling government interest that the county has in protecting its citizens versus the Americans with Disabilities Act.
If I may, all those were brought out in the staff report, which the Board of Adjustments will get, and those are arguments that can be made. But in the meantime, if you would allow us to get with the attorneys, with Matthew and Mike, and possibly someone that deals with the
We'll give you a
laws,
risk and whether we can even address it.
we can look into
I promise.
those issues and see if there's anything that can be addressed. The issue of trying to get it before September 20th, that's almost an impossibility to do that. And then it also brings up an issue of a takings issue of creating an ordinance where someone has already made application under the current regulation. So that's another legal issue that I need to get with the attorneys to even figure out, even if fiscal court passed something, would it even apply to the current application since they've made it under the current regulation? So I'll work with you all and see what we can do, if there's anything that we can do to do that. September 20th is going to be pushing it to try to get something done, but we can take a look at it.
But Don, I was advised this morning, I haven't researched it yet, there was case law in northern Kentucky from the U.S. Supreme Court that, or it might have been Kentucky Supreme Court.
Richmond?
I was told it was Newport area. Newport area.
Yeah, they passed a law that said they can only have it in the shopping center.
Well,
No, this said that you can't change from what
basically
I get.
midstream on an
Midstream.
applicant.
You can't change it
On an
midstream.
applicant. But I want to see it in writing and read it.
Yeah.
I just heard about it this morning
Yeah.
early, about 7:30 this morning, so make a comment on it. But anyway, we will research it and get back to, we'll put something out in the public.
And for those, if you all let me know, I'll be glad to come to a meeting if you'll just give me heads up, rather than at 2:15 the day of the meeting. I'd be glad to come and work through the process with you, but I'd have a little more lead time than that, so.
So I heard your concerns. Your concerns were heard. Actually, again, Jimmy did a great job on your concerns. Again, the Board of Adjustments, I really have faith in the Board of Adjustments. They're not this group.
I just want to bring up one more
The Board of
thing.
Adjustments is a citizen member that have been educated in the field of these things. And Jan puts out a great staff report, and she will advise them of these things to look at, and they'll make, I mean, overall, Nelson County Board of Adjustments done a tremendous job over the years.
Okay, my question is, you guys did this once before with the Heaven Hill Cox's Creek Barrel.
Completely different, Don.
It may be a little bit different, but it's similar.
Absolutely different. They had not made an application.
So it was never pulled?
It was never.
So you didn't change the ordinance, you didn't change the ordinance specifically for Cox's Creek Barrel Reserve?
We changed the orders for the industry, and that before any application had.
Right, and you're changing, we're asking you to change the ordinance for.
I'm not opposed to changing the ordinance, but not in.
Don, we'll be glad to
But
look at it.
you're
It's got an
asking for it in
issue with the
midstream, we want to make sure we've done
No,
it.
I get the midstream part, I get the midstream part.
We'll be glad to take a look at it.
My other point is, you say that, you're gonna take a look at this. Well, December 5th, Jeff Lear made a proposal for a road name change. Are you guys still looking at that one? Because there's been no discussion, either you're having it behind closed doors, or you're just not discussing
There you go
it.
again.
Then February 20th, I made a proposal for night meetings. You still haven't brought up that in front of the fiscal court. You've not discussed it. July 3rd, the ethics proposal, you still haven't.
You can bring that in all the debates, Don.
I'm just saying, you say you want to put things on the back, you say you want to put things on the back burner, but you never bring them back up.
Thank you. I won't use the fiscal court meeting rooms for a. Thank you.
I think you just did.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion been made by Bernard Ice, second by Sam Hutchins. All approved, say aye. Disapprove? Motion carries. Thank you.
You know, I'm not.